What's going on, everybody? It's Luke Lisi again from Vector Algorithmics. I'm very excited because the gentleman that I'm speaking with today just broke a record in vector history in the last 2.5 years that we've been in business. I have the honor and privilege of sitting with Rishab. Rishab, how are you, my friend?
Doing great, doing great.
That's good. You must be doing better than great, man.
Yeah.
Uh, you posted something absolutely ridiculous today, which are some of the biggest numbers we've seen in the short amount of time that you've been
hmm
with us. Um, Before I start to get into numbers, why don't you just tell the community or the listeners who you are and your trading history, if you have any trading history prior to joining Vector?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Rishab. I basically, I would say trading wise, I would say I kind of started maybe been in it for like roughly 4, 5 years. Futures was never something I was actually gonna see myself in, rather like, make money out of because it's like I've been more focused on doing Forex, kind of just trading actually gold. The symbol gold was like I've seen a lot of people trading gold, so I was trying to understand that, but that symbol was too volatile. So I've had my small gains, small losses, but this is like my I would say my first big achievement in the sense that like this is just working with the indices. So working with like the indices kind of like showed me like, okay, this might be like the market for me, only because when MetaQuotes was pulling away from a lot of brokers and prop firms during the Forex industry. Like I know a lot of prop firms pulled away from, like if you were lived in the US, you weren't allowed to have a prop firm. And actually, before this, I would say I had some really good success. Unfortunately, I didn't get to the payout stage because I think there was a fluke with the prop firm being shady and they're like just not announcing. It's like if you had a live account and you didn't get to like that certain mark, you and or you failed on it, you weren't allowed to get a new account. So there was one I've tried a little bit of EAs, which are like expert advisors. I've tried, launching MT4, MetaTrader 4, sometimes MetaTrader 5, mostly MetaTrader 4 is what I use, but a lot of these brokers or prop firm challenges, I was using expert advisors, so I've done it all. I've like experienced expert advisors, some are good, some are bad, but I could never find something consistent. So
Mm.
finding vector algorithmics, I think, was like my honestly, gosh, I was intrigued a little bit. I saw your guys' ad, so I was like, let me try it. Why not? Because at first I saw like the Instagram page and I was like, I don't know if this is legit, but like let me inquire because it first off, like I can see I spoke to some of you guys, I spoke to you, I spoke to other people who kind of like showed me what you guys are all about. So it caught my eye. It was definitely worth the investment. So no regrets.
Okay, well, I appreciate that big time, and yeah, I mean, I love hearing your story because it's the same story we hear from others where they've tried Forex. Forex, from my experience speaking to dozens of traders on a daily basis, um,
Yeah.
they always come from a Forex background and they give up on it. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see that you come from a similar background. Now, the reason why
Right.
you and I are having this conversation today is because you actually broke amongst our few hundred traders now. I actually think you broke the largest um, earnings in our history, in vector history, in the last 2.5 years. We were just speaking off camera.
Holy crap. Oh
It's
my God.
ridiculous numbers. So I was just counting up your numbers, just based on your account balances. This month, you made 144 grand, and today you officially got that payout from Apex for 40,000. That's massive.
Yeah.
That's massive. So
Yeah.
144 grand. I know there's limits in terms of your payouts. So of that
hmm
144 grand, you're withdrawing about 40 grand. So between all of your 20 funded
Yep.
accounts, you still have $100,000 left in there, right? About 5,000 each.
Yeah. It's about 5,000 even after a withdrawal, which is crazy. It's crazy to think about.
Those ridiculous numbers. Like I've seen people with $30,000 payouts. I personally, my best month in Apex was 56 grand. and this was I think last summer. I had a 56,000 dollar month in the month of June, and I was happy.
Wow.
But for you to
Wow.
have $140,000 month, it's just like you blew me out the water, right? So why don't you just tell us about that experience? Because I know, to also be fair to our
Yeah.
listeners, you actually blew some accounts prior. So why don't you tell us your experience with Vector? Because I think you joined in January.
Yeah, yeah.
How,
I can get into it for
sure,
sure.
go ahead.
So yeah, no, it's crazy. I don't remember exactly what date, but I know I joined in January. So I'm gonna say it's roughly been like 2 months, right? Because January, February, and you know, February is ending in like literally tomorrow. But when I joined, I took it very slow. I'm actually, what happened was I was like, you know what? Let me just take my time with it. I have blue accounts, I blew like so many accounts multiple times in a day where I would pay money and then fail them maybe within like an hour or two, pay again, and then, same situation. I've kind of put myself, I would say I'm definitely an aggressive type. I like to take risks because I see the value. It's like no matter how many times you get knocked back down, it only takes one moment to like get back up. And I would say during my time with Apex, even after like, my losses and everything, I would like to say I'm definitely in the green with them just because this is huge. Even if I'm only allowed to withdraw 2,000 per account, I think it's a big asset to have vector algorithmics, be with me being part of like this amazing organization, because just going into it, like when I started, I took my time with it. I think I made like $1,000 over a week, but I try to really think long term. It's like I made $1,000 over the course of a week, but that's with 20 accounts. So that's like really like $20,000. Who's gonna say no to that? So yeah, I had some really good moments, but then I ended up rushing it. Like I got to a fully PA stage, and I know you told me yourself, it's like if you just want to do the passive automated strategy, takes between a month to like a month and a half, maybe like, like 4 or 5 weeks. Um, so it depends. Obviously, you can't promise like what these bots are going to guarantee, but you can definitely control it a little bit. You can manage it. You can put targets like which I've tried. I think my style is a little bit more let it run and then close out of it if I'm happy with it. That way I don't have to limit myself. Like let's say it went like I wanted just to make $100 in one trade. It could easily go to $100 into stop loss, but then let's say after you got knocked out, it goes back into green, maybe like $200. So that's why I try to like be careful with that a little bit. I just let it run, mostly kind of monitor it. But at the same time, I want to say it is hands off. You're not really doing much other than just really watching and understanding. I feel like it's a good experience. You can maybe understand better market structure because the bot is taking the trades. I don't think any of the strats are redundant. They're there for a reason. You guys gave us some really good, if not like fire strats, that puts us ahead of the game. It tells us when or why is it entering there, and it also can we can try to form patterns. It's very hard to form patterns in the trading industry on your own because the market is so volatile. Everything changes, everything moves. But to find a common ground, I think is the biggest thing of like why I would say why I got this payout. So that's really it. I would say take your time with it, but at the same time, if you want to kind of push, be careful. I try to limit. I know on the settings chart it does say like one and like for beef bowl. I think that's my favorite strategy by far because I manually trade NQ. I know beef bowl does MNQ, but even if it's just one micro, I see some days just off of one not one micro, but like one lot, um, you can make like $300 per trade. So it's like if you trade along with it, I think it's a good guidance. That's what I want to say, most importantly. It doesn't leave you in the dark because you can kind of use it to your advantage. You can be like, okay, if it's kind of in the green for NQ, let me try to see on NQ, which is more volatile than MNQ. NQ is, I would say, like, right, it's like a quantity of one is like 10 of MNQs. So I think it's good to maintain a good, risk management, good strategy, and just try to understand what you're getting yourself into.
I'm glad you mentioned that because one key thing that you mentioned to me was just letting it do its thing, right?
Right.
It's there for a
Yeah.
reason. To,
Yeah.
honestly, sometimes I need to hear that because today, for example, Beef Bowl entered a position and its
Hmm.
take profit was targeting a 380 point move. So that's a massive move, right?
Right.
I didn't
Right.
think it was going to get there. Now, I personally, because I saw such a big trade, I saw, and I'm just pulling out my phone now because I want to see it. Um,
Hmm.
I personally saw the trade and I exited probably about how much did I exit? About 70 points in the green. So I made money. I made like $130.
Nice.
The entry was it took a short somewhere around 21,100. The price right
Hmm.
now is 21,633. So had I held my trade, I would have hit the full 380 point take profit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. It really is wild because the logic behind it is like, when I first signed up with Vector Algorithmics, I'm like, okay, you guys do promise. It's not like you bullshit on your promises, which are like, if it does fail, which is very rare because these bots are really conservative, but you could still make massive gains with them. I think that's the key part. The ultimate goal is if you want to just kind of guarantee a certain level of profits without, burning too many accounts like I did in the past, I would say just let it run, do its own thing because it does it does numbers. I would say I think my first week actually, when I did pass, during that first week, I think I was down in one of the accounts. This was before I changed my strategies. I think I ran Beef Bowl, DP2, and then GP1. So I switched it a little bit. But when it was set up for me, I think my lowest account was $1,000 in the negative. Was I nervous? I was like a little bit, but actually it's crazy because the following week I was all above my original account. I was above the 50K mark. So you just gotta trust the process. Like I think what some of the other members have stated, it's like don't continuously switch your strategies, which I've kind of understood that to a certain degree. Because let's say you had one bad day on Beef Bowl, it's like forget it. I hate this. I want something else, and then Beef Bowl kills it the next day. You never know until you're in it, and you just kind of have to trust a little bit. You kind of have to let the ropes go and just trust that you'll be okay.
You said that perfectly because yesterday Beef Bowl actually took a loss, and if someone were to think, okay, I don't like this strategy, they stop
Yeah.
running. They would have missed on such a massive win today, 380.
Exactly, exactly. They would have missed out today. So
So
I think it's super important to understand that. I think a lot of people have asked me, it's like, so you said you kind of manually trade. Can you explain that a little bit? Obviously, it's easier said than being done, but like market structure plays a big role in it. I think, failing a lot of accounts how I look at it is you're one step closer to success. You're kind of in that mindset of, let me try to understand what I did wrong here, what I can try to tweak differently, but manage a good risk management. Before, when I first started with Apex, I thought their rules were absolutely absurd. I was like, Jesus Christ, I have to get $3,000. Then I have to get to 2,600. And then after that, I start making money. And I can't just do that from the get-go. It has to be 8 days. And I've noticed myself, and that this is how they get you because evals, they don't apply consistency. Why don't they apply consistency? Because they know it's like this person, which, you know, it's kind of funny. I think I did these accounts that I passed from, I did pass, I think, in one day.
yeah,
I just traded like one day and I happened to go. But that's how they get you. It's like you pass in one day. Now it's like they're probably like in their mind they're probably like you're not gonna get the full eight because you're probably super impatient. You're gonna try to make some serious like moves. You think you're gonna make some great moves and then it ends up hurting you and then you end up failing a count. So it's literally like it's a curve. You either hit a high or you hit a low. I think the important part is just be consistent because if you let the thing go on its own, which is what I plan on doing now, I don't think I'm gonna go for aggressive trades like this. I only kind of did it because it's like I want to maintain a good buffer. Not only did I achieve a safety net, but I managed like a really good buffer between, even after withdrawing, I'm still above the 2,600. I still can, potentially hit that max payout. Depends on what these next 8 days are looking. So anything is possible if you just take your time with it. And it's funny because I saw somebody's ad, I think when I was first inquiring about vector algorithmics, when I first saw you guys, I think I saw somebody who made a post, it was like a screenshot of an ad. He did like $78,000 in like 8 months. And I'm just like, wow, to me, that's phenomenal. He did 78,000 in 8 months. It's like, that's like a whole salary. That's like, that's what more can you ask for? So I know what I did was like, you know, I don't think I would have ever seen something like this without vector algorithms because I could have just been like, yeah, no, let me just risk it all. But to be kind of methodical for like the whole 8 day streak, it's not easy. It's kind of like you're testing the limits. So, having that tool of knowing what beef bowl is taking, what GP2 is taking, what dip is necessarily taking, it's helpful. I think you can use it for a guidance and you can try to understand because I've been noticing GP sometimes hits the red, but then I'm like, let's see when it started hitting the red because when it takes a trade, there's a good amount of time that it is in the green. I'm like, I could honestly just close it because then it starts to reverse. Since it like trades a little more frequently, I know Beef Bowl and Dip trade on 15-minute marks. GP is more 3 minutes. So it's like you can see where it starts to actually dip a little bit.
Got it. Now, as we wrap this up, man, a lot of key things that you said there. What would you give as your one piece of advice to someone that's probably just starting out or someone that's listening? Maybe they are a trader, but they want to get to that next level.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I wanna say if it still feels kind of weird to me to, I wouldn't necessarily give myself the qualification that I know everything, but what I do know is that the algorithms are there for a reason. You paid your money for it for a good reason. Just let it do its thing. Because I see sometimes I never was into the night strategy because it just never caught my eye. But I know some people are where they like let the account run during the night and they can just pass their account right from the start. I like to stick with like what I can see during the day, what's happening, and try to be cautious with it. I think not every trade that you take with the bot is going to be 100%, but it's part of it is like seeing where it's going. So it's a little bit of mixing and matching of like knowing, do you really think it's going to hit like you said yesterday? Like I don't think anybody would have said, is it going to hit that 300-point mark on Beef Bowl? So you kind of have to know, and you don't even have to go for the full swing. You just have to go for what you're happy with. Because if you make them consistently $100 every day, I feel like you're set for life. It doesn't take a lot.
100%, man. That's a big thing right there. And I'm very
Yeah,
proud of you, brother. I hope that in the next couple of months we could do another interview like this and we're not
for
sitting on
sure.
144 grand, we're sitting on 300 grand.
Right,
Let-
exactly.
Let's see if
That,
we can double that one up, but keep doing your thing. Very proud of you and thank you so much for your time today.
thank you, Lucci. And I just want to thank the community also for helping because just like everybody, we all learn from each other. So thanks, guys.